Hey guys, Keegan here. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this video. So I've been taking some creative isolation portraits here in my apartment over the last month or so, and I would like to show you how I've been editing these photos. These are the photos that I've been posting on Instagram and TikTok recently, and if you came here from there, welcome, thanks for coming over. And if you haven't, you should go check them out. I put links down in the description for that. I also made a second video showing how I shot these pictures, so click here and you can check out that video. Watch that first because it's the first part of the process of taking pictures, and then come back here to watch how I edited them. So I chose 3 of my favorite ones, and I used Lightroom and Photoshop for this. Let's get right into it. Okay, so here we are in Lightroom. We're gonna start by doing some basic photo adjustments here. The first thing I'm gonna do though is change the background to white. Now the reason I'm doing this is because Instagram's user interface is white, so people are looking at your photos with a white background or a white surrounding. So we wanna make sure that we're adjusting our brightness and our contrast according to the environment that the photo is gonna be living in, which is Instagram. So the first thing I'm gonna do is get my skin tone a little more natural. So let's reduce this magenta a little bit and bring up the temperature slightly. So now we have more of a natural skin tone to start with. We might come back to this later on to make some further adjustments. Next up, exposure and contrast. Let's bring up that exposure. Yeah, here we go. And I do like contrasty photos, so I'm gonna push up the contrast a little bit here. It's pretty good. Now we'll just do some fine tuning to the highlights, the shadows, the whites, and the blacks. Now there's no specific science to how I'm doing this, aside from not clipping the whites or crushing the blacks. There's really no science, I'm just using my eye. And of course, editing, it's an art in itself. So what you like might not be something that someone else likes, and what I like, maybe you don't like, but that's okay because art is subjective. So now down to the presence here, I don't wanna really touch too much on clarity. I don't really like adding clarity to portraits too much, maybe a touch. Texture, I'm not gonna touch because I have skin and I don't like the way that texture affects skin. And dehazing is adding a lot of contrast and darkness, so maybe I'll reduce the contrast a little more. Now this is looking pretty good. Pretty much every time I like to have the vibrance up and saturation down, or the saturation up and the vibrance down. And that way I don't add too much color in general. I wanna crop the image for Instagram. So I'm gonna press R on the keyboard, choose a 4:5 crop, which is the Instagram portrait crop. And I'm gonna crop in, I'm gonna get rid of my lips because I just think they're a little bit too distracting. This looks great. If you're enjoying this video so far, I would love to have you subscribe to see all of my future videos. Now I think this is a great time for me to show you what I'm using to edit in Photoshop. It's this Huion drawing tablet. So this drawing tablet comes with a pencil and it comes with this glove. It allows your hand to glide smoothly on the tablet while you can still grip the pencil naturally. Now this is a tablet that I bought myself, hasn't been sent to me or anything by Huion or Amazon, whatever. I bought this myself with my own money and I really, really love it. I think it's amazing. Spent maybe 60 bucks Canadian on this, so 40 or 50 bucks US. Look at the size of this thing. This is huge. And for the same size, you're paying a lot more money for one of those Wacom tablets. I'm gonna put an Amazon link to this tablet down in the description if you wanna check it out and get one for yourself. And with that being said, let's move on to the next picture. I chose this as my second picture because honestly, it's not really good. There's nothing in focus, and to me, there's nothing really exciting about it yet. We're gonna make it a little more exciting here. First thing I'll do is crop this time. Let's go with a crop just like this. I like it. Now, same as the last picture, we're gonna make a couple of adjustments to the tone and get something that we're happy with before moving into Photoshop. This time I'm gonna add a little bit extra texture and extra clarity. What I really want is to bring out the flower explosion, if you will. I just pushed the vibrance all the way and brought the saturation down, and let me show you the difference between what it was originally and what it is now. So this is the original. Now if I go back to that added vibrance and less saturation, to me, the colors are a lot nicer. Okay, I'm happy. Let's move into Photoshop. Now you might be thinking also that Photoshop is a little bit too complicated for you at this point, but that's okay. Watch through and maybe you'll get a little bit of a feel for Photoshop and you can start trying things out. So here we're not worried about retouching skin or anything. What I really want to do is add excitement to the photo. Now I want to do one more thing, and that's just add more flower, a bigger flower explosion here. So to do that, I'm gonna create a new layer, and I have this brush that is called Kyle's Sputter Brush. Don't ask me who Kyle is, I just found this online. So if you look it up, Kyle's Sputter Brush, you could probably find this download on Google. I'll show you right now what this brush looks like. It just creates sputters. So I'm gonna use this and create more flower effect. So first thing we wanna do is pick the brush, of course, change the foreground color to white. And with a flow of about 20%, we're just gonna paint in some flower. Now, it looks a little bit weird right now, but we're gonna fix this in a second. Let's not get too intense here, but maybe more here around the bread and then less on top. Sweet. Now we're gonna make this a smart object by pressing Convert for Smart Filters. Now this will allow us to adjust our filters after we've added them. Then we go to Filter, Blur, Radial Blur. Now what a radial blur is going to do is blur things in a circular motion. But radial blur also offers a zoom style blur where it creates a blur towards the outer edges of the frame. And you can adjust where that middle point is right here by clicking down here. So we're going to put this middle point around where the bread would be in the image. So in the bottom half here. And let's put the quality to draft just so we can see what's going to happen. So we're going to press OK. And now we can see that there's motion added to this flower that I painted. So let's go back into the radial blur here, drop the amount maybe to 6, see how that looks. Okay, this looks great. Now we're gonna go back into radial blur and change the quality to best so that it creates a great render of this blur. Press OK and wait. Done. And the next thing we'll do is change the blend mode of this layer to soft light. So here's the before and after. This is before, without, and after. Now let's do another round of this because I think we can create something pretty cool with this flower explosion. We'll use a different type of blur for this. So again, new layer, and let's just paint some more sputter, something a little bit bigger. I'm gonna increase the size of the brush a little bit. Great, same thing. Filter, Convert for Smart Filters. And this time let's go to Filter, Blur Gallery, Path Blur. A path blur is cool because you can adjust the direction of the blur in multiple areas of the photo. And we can see the direction and what we're doing by using these arrows. So I'll create a little bit of a path blur from the dough to the outer edge of the frame here. So now we can see the flowers sort of following that motion. I'm gonna do the same thing. Let's do another one here. And let's do one straight up. That's pretty cool. And that's it. So I'm gonna press OK. And we'll go back in and change that blend mode to soft light again. Now let's see what it looks like the before and after here. This is before, this is after. So I just added some excitement. I added more flower, more motion to the shot. Save that, head back into Lightroom. Let's do one more thing before we move on to the last photo. I want to add some more sharpening so we get some more definition into the flower. So let's get in close here to the flower and see what we're actually doing. So I'm going to push the sharpening and adjust the radius and detail until I find something that I like. And the masking. The masking gets rid of all that graininess. That might seem like a lot to you, a lot of sharpening, but if it isn't detrimental to your photo, honestly, sometimes it's okay to do this stuff. And there we have it, guys. We have something out of an image that you really wouldn't think you could do much with in the first place. All right, so we have one last shot to edit, and we're not gonna go into Photoshop for this one. We're just gonna do everything in Lightroom. Let's start with the crop. Now, I wanna create some space on top of my head here because I wanna make it look like I'm on a stage or I'm alone, you know, in isolation. That's the kind of look I'm going for. Having my head dead center in the frame is pretty dope. Here comes the basic light adjustments. I'm going to increase the exposure, bring that light outline out. Not too hard on the highlights. We don't want any definition on this side of my face to come out because it's a silhouette. Drop those shadows a little bit. I like this, but I find that my shirt is way too bright. So I'm just gonna make a brush here, lower the exposure, and brush out this section. and maybe my hand here too. Yeah, that's great. I want to push the texture on this one here because the outline is coming out a lot nicer when I do that. And even though there's not much color in this photo, I'm gonna do the same thing. Push the vibrance, drop the saturation. Let's go for that faded look for this one. I don't always do this, but I think for this photo it's gonna work out nicely. So I'm gonna create a node here and then just bring up those blacks. And we can do the same thing on the other side, on the whites. And that'll create sort of a matted look. And we can bring some contrast into the photo by creating a sort of S-curve with those fades. There's the before and after. I think there's too much of a black fade here, so that's great. I don't like the purple of my shirt. I should have wore a blue shirt, but I don't have a shirt like this that's blue. So let's change this purple to blue. Drop the purple down, yep. There we go, so now we have a blue shirt. Okay, we're getting really close. Now I think the last thing I wanna do is bring the microphone out a little bit, bring some definition into this microphone. So let's brush it in, push up the exposure a little bit, add some texture, paint over the outline here of the microphone. Also, I think I'm gonna drop that saturation. If you can see that there's some orange around here, I don't want that. I wanna take it out completely so we have a silver microphone. Now that's looking cool. That is dope. Zoom out to take a look, pop up that exposure a little bit. That's cool, that's really cool. Let's keep it like this. We're done, we are done. That was easy. Just a tip for exporting to Instagram. Once you've exported your images and brought them into Instagram and you're about to post them, add sharpness to the image. And also you can adjust the brightness slider just a little bit because every screen is different and you really want to optimize the image to look good on a phone screen. So that about does it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications. That's it. Catch you on the flip side.